Contrary to the conduct of county officials at their press conference last week, Mr. Manis's death is not a laughing matter. First and foremost, the county must not be allowed to blame the Manis family for their own lack of transparency and accountability. The county has never made any effort to reach out or to communicate anything to this family. They attempt to excuse their inexcusable conduct by saying that this man's family changed the rules of the game once they brought a lawyer into the equation. What the county failed to tell you is why the Manis family was forced to retain a lawyer. When Mr. Manis's longtime girlfriend learned that he was in the emergency room in critical condition, she attempted to get information about what had happened. She called the pre-release center, spoke with a woman who was crying and upset, who then contacted her or connected her with a lieutenant inside of the prison. This prison official was neither courteous nor professional. In fact, he wasn't very nice at all. He told Mr. Manis's girlfriend that she didn't realize how far away Felix had been from an ambulance. The girlfriend asked for a timeline of events so she could understand what happened and when, and was told there was no and would be no timeline of events. The next day, she went to the pre-release center, and the only thing that she could get from them were two large black plastic bags which contained Mr. Manis's belongings, which had all of his laundry soap and lotion all over everything in the bags. It was only after these events and the failure to the work release center to provide any information when Amanda picked up these belongings that they contacted a lawyer. There's no loving family anywhere that would allow their loved one to lie in critical condition without doing everything in their power to find out what happened. The Manis family need not and will not apologize for their efforts to learn the truth. For this family, they owe it to Felix to know why he did. And just as importantly, to make sure this never happens again. The county executive said that the results of the autopsy are, quote, inconclusive, end of quote. It is my understanding that the results of the autopsy are incomplete, pending the review of microscopic studies. Inconclusive and incomplete are two entirely different things. The county executive was reckless in making such a statement. She is not the duly elected coroner. She is not a licensed forensic pathologist who performed the autopsy. She is simply trying to spin information for her own political benefit. This statement was reckless because by her own admission, her office has had no contact with the county coroner. And if that is the case, how could there be any factual basis for her assertion? Third, the county attempts to explain the deliberate indifference demonstrated to Mr. Manis by stating that they had never had an emergency during transport in the past. Even if true, that would not excuse the failure to exercise common sense, which would command someone to call 911 when somebody cannot breathe. Moreover, state law specifically requires that the county must have and implement a plan for these types of emergencies. The law states, and I quote, "Written local policy must include contingency plans to be followed in the event of an accident, escape, security breach, or medical emergency during transportation." Fourth, the county indicated that a nurse was somehow involved in this matter. It is important to know that by education, training, and Pennsylvania law, nurses are not permitted to diagnose or to create a treatment plan. Nurses are not permitted to diagnose or to create a treatment plan. It's my understanding that someone from the Work Release Center called a nurse and relayed information that they had received from the driver. This would make the information third-hand and hardly a reliable way to convey critical medical information. Fifth, the county fails to provide any transparency and accountability and blames a provision in the union contract for their conduct. Again, what the county did not tell you is they agreed to that provision. The county now attempts to hide behind the very contract provision it negotiated and agreed to. Sixth, the county repeatedly blamed upcoming litigation as the reason it could not reveal key information about what happened to Mr. Manis on May 30th. At the same time, the county solicitor repeatedly insinuated that such a litigation would be inappropriate. If the county wishes to diffuse this situation, the most reasonable approach is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If the county refuses to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, what other choice does a citizen have? What other way does a citizen hold its government accountable other than to force the truth to come out in court? Seventh, it's important to address the shocking display of public confidence that the county executive and her lawyer showered on the prison administration. Think about this. A man who they're responsible for stops breathing, is taken to the hospital in critical condition, and nobody in the prison administration told the county executive's office. It was not until nearly a week later, when I wrote to the county executive, that they apparently had any of this information. I'll leave it for the citizens of this community to determine whether they think that's good public policy. I want to stress, Mr. Manis was a person. He had a family. He has children. Mr. Manis will never come back. But Mr. Manis and his family are certainly entitled to the truth and intend to do everything in their power to make sure that another family does not suffer the way Brianna and Amanda and so many other of his loved ones have. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
When you say that Felix Manz's girlfriend went to the work release center, first of all, when was that, and are we referring to Amanda Tuholsky?
We are referring to Amanda, and I believe that that was on Thursday or Friday of that. So we